Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, friends of artelino, and especially friends of Japanese prints. My name is Dieter Ventura. I happen to be the owner of a little family company called Artelino, and we've sold in online auctions, exclusively online auctions. We don't have a gallery. Art prints, mostly Japanese prints, in weekly online auctions since 2001. That means we are already more than 20 years old, exclusively online and with a focus on Japanese prints. And in today's video, I want to present you two Japanese prints, to be more precise, two triptychs. A triptych, well, you see it here in the background, consists of 3 sheets. And these two prints, these two triptychs, are from the 19th century. One is by Hiroshige II, it's that one. And the other one is by Chikanobu Toyohara from the Meiji period. But I will also tell you a little bit more about the history background. So at the end of this video, you will know what the Edo period is and what the Meiji period is. Promised. Okay, let's start with this one. It shows a procession, well, easy to see. It's the so-called Oishiki festival. You see a long procession here over this bridge, and people carrying huge decorations with them. And I mean, apart now from the historical background about which I want to talk a little bit, please also keep in mind, the immense technical standard that these Japanese prints from the 19th century have. You must imagine this scene is created by carving lines and areas into wooden blocks. A fantastic scene. Yeah, okay, but back to what it shows. It shows this Oishiki festival. This is a Buddhist festival which takes place in a part of what is today Tokyo, and which is in honor of a Buddhist priest and philosopher with the name of Nichiren. He lived in the 13th century during the so-called Kamakura period. About the print itself, it was first published in 1863. That was towards the end of the Edo period. The Edo period ended in 1868. And the Edo period, Japan at that time was practically a medieval country until the 1950s. Let's say early 1960s, it was a purely medieval country, and this print, it's an original print, is from this period. The 3 sheets about the condition, because this is important for collectors, a few words. The sheets are slightly trimmed, but otherwise it's in pretty good condition. And this festivity, by the way, in honor to this priest, Buddhist priest Nichiren, it still takes place today. And now we want to show you an excerpt from a YouTube video from 2015 that shows how the Japanese people celebrate this festivity today in Tokyo. Okay? second print, the second triptych from the current auction from the 19th century that I want to show you is this one by Chikanobu Toyohara. It was published in 1887, so you can say during the middle of the Meiji period, and it shows the imperial family with Empress Haruko and Emperor Meiji and an unknown woman next to him. Chikanobu Toyohara was on the one side a very modern printmaker, on the other side he was very conservative and retrograde, you can say. Let's explain his modern aspect. Chikanobu Toyohara was very modern, integrating Western art features into this old Japanese printmaking method. For instance, the way how he showed clouds or how he showed mist, that was something he tried to develop, and that is his modern phase. The subjects, however, are very conservative, very retrograde. He often shows scenes from Japanese glorious history, and you can see very often prints by Chikanobu Toyohara where he shows scenes with the imperial family. And that had another reason, quite simple. During the Meiji period, the commercial ground for Japanese printmakers was not very good. They were by and by replaced by photography and lithography. So they concentrated on popular subjects. And Emperor Meiji and Empress Haruko, they were popular among the Japanese population at that time. So it was something that sold quite well. And because the private life of the imperial couple was completely secluded from the public, well, they invented something and showed scenes from inside the Chiyoda Palace. That's the imperial compound, still existing today in Tokyo. And still today, it's not open for the public, to my knowledge, in Tokyo, with the exception of 1 or 2 days in springtime. Other than that, it's strictly private. The emperor ascended the Japanese throne when he was only 15 years old, and he gave himself the name Meiji. Meiji means, it's Japanese, it means the enlightened one. And the period was named after him, and this period is defined from the first year when, at the age of 15, he ascended the throne. That was in 1868, and when he died in 1912, then the Meiji period ended. Historians still are not really quite sure about the actual role Emperor Meiji had for the development of Japan during this period, when Japan moved from a medieval country with a great leap forward to a modern industrialized nation after Western patterns. And most today think he had no real power, but he was definitely something they like the figurehead for this development. And he was also, together with his wife Haruko, they were visible in public, but only for official duties, like, for instance, opening a new railway line, or opening a new school, or opening a new steel bridge, which was the symbol of progress at that time. But again, his private life strictly off limits, and also the marriage was probably not the most happy one. Haruko could not give him any heirs to the throne, but the Emperor Meiji, he had several concubines, and overall he had 15 children with them. Out of those, however, only half survived. Very interesting background to such Japanese prints, especially, well, this transition from medieval Japan to the modern industrialized Japanese industrialized country. And if you are interested a little bit in history, I can recommend you a book here. It's a mixture of a coffee table book with a lot of images of Japanese prints from that period. The title is Japan at the Dawn of the Modern Era. Subtitles, Woodblock Prints from the Meiji Period. Very recommendable if you're interested in history and like Japanese prints. Okay, we've come to the end today. A little bit about history, but those who know me, you know, I like that, yeah. Always looking what's behind the pure aesthetics of a Japanese print. And we have these two triptychs in the current auction, which is our number 1722. Well, we've started with auction number 1 in 2001. And this auction, number 1722, will end tomorrow. Today is March 5, and will end on March 6 at 8 p.m. 2022. I forgot to mention the year, of course, in case you should watch this video a few years later. Okay, so much for today. Thanks for watching and have a good week. Goodbye.